As a composer and IT enthusiast, I like to find new ways to store my music, something for fun that I can brag about at a dinner table with my other IT nerdy friends that I don't have. There's a cool Docker container called Navidrome that lets you store your music locally on a web server, and it looks cool and can be accessed by any of your devices. It's free to install and really easy to manage. It can be rewarding and fun to do, and maybe you learn something along the way. Hello, I'm George Kostic. I'm a 3D artist, a composer, and a cybersecurity student. I'll be showing you how to make your own music server locally. Simply, Docker is a free container deployment solution. For example, imagine instead of downloading Obsidian, the note-taking app, which is similar to Notepad, I guess, you deploy it on Docker, which allows you to access your notes from any device, as long as your Docker is online and on the same network as all of your other devices. It's more convenient since you can access from any device. It's also isolated from everything else you do on that device you deploy it on. Docker has tons and tons of containers you can deploy, but in this video we're only going to be focusing on Navidrome. The purpose of Navidrome is actually to run offline on local music streaming service. That's why it looks pretty similar to Spotify, at least in my opinion, but you manage and control everything and only you have access to it. The actual purpose of Navidrome is for you to upload your totally legal and owned music that you purchased into a local server. By manage, why not upload your own music? It looks cool and definitely way better than the boring music player you get with Windows, and I think it's a convenient way to store your soundtracks, especially if you have tons of them, kinda like I do. There's many devices that you can store your music server on. A lot of them are pretty cheap and pretty reliable for the most part. Here are some examples, which includes your daily PC or laptop, which I actually don't recommend. It's your daily driver and not ideal, so you should find a dedicated device for Docker, but if you really want to, you can. Any Raspberry Pi model works, ESP32, preferably one that allows an SD card, an old laptop PC that you don't use. A lot of us actually have laptops and PCs that we don't use anymore. These are pretty ideal for this kind of project. An Orange Pi, which is like a Raspberry Pi but cheaper, and pretty much anything that runs Linux. Did I mention we're going to be using Linux? Oh yeah, we're going to be using Linux for this. Now, if hearing the word Linux is a turnoff because it's complex, fear not, I will handhold you throughout the full deployment. You can copy exactly what I do. The only thing you can't copy is what device I'll be using. I'll be using a virtual machine just for the sake of demoing this video. I actually don't even recommend virtual machines as your Docker server. So my homework to you is to find whatever device you end up using and figure out how to install Linux on it. There's tons of tutorials on how to do that. Then come back to this video, and as if which Linux to use, I recommend Ubuntu, PiOS, or Debian. I'll be using Ubuntu for this demo. Alright, got your Linux ready? Let's get docking. That sounded stupid. Alright, so once you have your Linux, it's really easy to go from there, I promise you. What you're going to do is Control-Alt+T to pull up your terminal, or click on your Windows key to look up for terminal and click on it. It's the same thing. And then you're going to make a full size, and then Control-Shift the plus to zoom in. And then what you're going to do is sudo space apt space update to update your system. It doesn't actually really update anything, it just pulls the packages up. Yours might be a little longer. I already updated mine and everything. No worries. The next thing you're going to do is sudo space apt space upgrade, which actually does upgrade your system. It might prompt you to for a yes or no question. Just press enter, or you can just type in Y. We're going to press Control L, clean the terminal, and then we're going to do sudo apt install Docker, and then enter. So the next thing you're going to do is sudo systemctl start and then -- now docker, and this will start your Docker. And then after that you're going to do sudo systemctl stats docker to see if your Docker is running, which is very important. If it says not running, make sure you enable it. And again, if it's not running, you have to look up how to troubleshoot that kind of thing. But it should work 99% of the time. I don't think I've ever had errors as long as your Linux installation is pretty much brand new. After that, you're going to press Q to exit out of whatever prompts you. And then after that, you're going to do sudo apt install docker -- compose. That installs the Docker Compose, which is a little different than Docker, but you need both of them. So whatever Linux you have, it should come with a default browser. For Ubuntu, it's Firefox. You're going to click on Firefox, and you're going to look up Navidrome Docker. It should be the first thing. This is going to be the website you're going to click on. And it's basically an overview on how to install Navidrome and Docker, which is really easy. So what we're going to do is create a docker-compose .yaml, or period. So you're going to do nano docker dash compose dot YAML, just like that. And then you're going to go back to your Firefox or whatever browser you have, and then you're going to just copy this right here. So you're going to be your right click and then copy, and then go back to your terminal. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to go around with your arrow keys. You're going to come to environment and then just use this symbol. I totally forgot what the symbol name is. And that's it. It should turn out blue just like that. You're going to do Control O to save and then Enter to actually save it, and then Control X to exit. So we need a folder to store our music and our data. We need to make two folders, one for music and one for our data. You're going to do mkdir to make the directory music. I already have one exist, but you probably don't. And the next thing you're going to do is mkdir data. I already made those two folders, but this is it. And then you're going to do ls to make sure those folders are there. So you've got music. This is the music document thing. Ignore that. It's not a file. And then we got our data right here. So we're going to do the upper arrow until we see nano docker compose YAML, and we're going to click enter to go back on the docker compose. You're going to go down here, and then after the colon sign, you're going to delete this, and you're going to do home, and then the name of your username you put. So for us, it was Navidrome right here. So you got Navidrome. So what are we going to do? The way to figure this out is by typing pwd to figure out what your username is. It shows home. Navidrome, you can actually just copy this, and we're going to do the up arrow to go back to Docker Compose, and then after that, you're going to go down. So going back here, you can just delete what we just typed, and then you can do paste by right-clicking, and then make sure you put a slash music because it's the folder we made, the music folder. You're going to do the same thing for data. After the colon, or before the colon, you're going to do this, and then paste, and then dash data, and then that's it. You're done. So you're going to do Control O, Enter, and then X to exit, and then Control L to clear. Just like the instructions say, we can do docker dash compose up D, or minus D, sorry. You can just paste that in, and then just paste it in, and then enter. If you get this error, which I did, and I totally forgot that you do need sudo for the Docker Compose, you're going to type sudo docker compose, where you're going to just paste that in, you don't even need to type it, and then enter, and it's going to pull out the image, and you're pretty much done. Now, how do we access this? So if you go back to your nano docker compose, it tells you how we're going to access it, which is port 4533. Now, the way we figure out our port is by IP A. So you're probably going to have a 192.168.1. something. Whatever it is, just copy it. Ignore the dash 24. You're going to copy it. And then go back to your Firefox, and then you're going to paste it. You're going to put the IP address in the address area, and then colon, and then 4533, and then enter. Now you should pull up to your Navidrome. It's going to prompt you for a password and a username. I already made that, so I don't need to make it. I just put root, and you can put whatever password you need. There's a lot you can do with Navidrome, but I'm just showing you the basics. After you installed everything, you're going to install your music on downloads or a folder or anywhere you have. You're going to copy all of these or cut them, and you're going to go to your music folder that we created, and then it's going to be right here, and then you're just going to paste it, and that's it. This is all my soundtracks from a couple years ago. And then you're going to refresh it. You're going to have this, and then you're just going to click it, and then you have all the soundtracks we just pasted. It just basically mirrors what's on your music folder to this, and you can just, and then you can make different playlists. You can even upload your own art to it. Ignore the weird naming conventions in my soundtracks. That was years ago, but like I said, this works. You just, click on it, and it should play the audio. But yeah, there's a lot you could do with Navidrome. You can create radios and whatnot. You can look up tutorials on how to do all that kind of thing, but the whole scope of this video was to show you how to download those kind of things. Actually, I'm really excited to configure this thing on a home server. If I ever do get a server, I can upload all my soundtracks on there, and I can just have it playing. And again, you can access this from anywhere as long as you got the IP address. Now, why go through all that frustration process to have a slightly better audio player? I don't know. Maybe this is a good way to try and force you to use Linux and ditch stupid Windows, because you can run Docker on Windows and have the same outcome with half of the frustration. Or maybe I'm just that evil. I'm kidding. I think the reason I'm showing this is I'm assuming the people watching this are music artists, hence the title. I wanted to expose you to a different world than you're used to. And all of the things you hopefully learn in this video will actually better your music skills in one way or another. I think Navidrum is a great place to store all of your stuff in a centralized area. Maybe it's just me, but hopefully you as well. Every time I made a song or something along those lines, I kind of wish I can listen to it again and again, in bed, in kitchen, outside, and etc. I can't bring my whole PC up or bring around my laptop, that's kind of too much work. I figured this is a good solution to my problem. If this last part didn't make any sense, watch it again. If it still doesn't make sense, hey, as always, I hope you learned something. Thank you for watching.